but actually enjoyed it.
Tonight's investigation began here, on this stage, on this spot. It continues now, though, at the vigil location. Another reminder, everything you're about to see is done under strict health and safety guidelines, and no one will be harmed in what follows. No matter how threatening it looks, no one will be harmed. Also, please do not attempt to duplicate anything you see done on the vigil location tonight at home. With that in mind, let's go straight away now to Yvette Fielding and the team for the vigil.
Well, here I am in some incredibly spooky woods. It is Halloween after all. Now, this particular spot is very haunted. And one of the reasons why is because so many people were hanged here. They really, really were, innocent and guilty. So we have replicated and built our very own gallows that would have stood in this very spot. So many people would have dangled from the end of that rope. So we're replicating it tonight, and somebody from our team is going to be hanged. Now, we're not just doing it for the sake of doing it for TV. There is a reason to it. There is a paranormal reason to this. Kieran, just explain why we're doing it.
In the paranormal world, this is known as Singapore theory. It's the idea of replicating what went on in that spot in order to kind of increase paranormal activity. In addition, let's not forget, we're taking somebody to the brink of death. And during this week, we've done a few Ouija board sessions, especially with the witches, where they've threatened to kill somebody. So we're essentially saying, right, you're threatening to kill somebody, we're offering you somebody now, so come and show yourself. So it's kind of goading them into doing something for us.
Now, we've got cameras also set up. We've done this experiment before, haven't we, with the cameras, and it's been very, very effective. Just explain what you're going to do.
Essentially, we've got cameras dotted around, focused on the gallows. On the command that the person's going to be hung, the button's going to go off, and all the cameras are essentially going to go, and they're going to be taking a photograph of the hanging. We'll be able to examine them and see if there are any lights, any phenomena that occurs at that point of hanging.
And of course that's really, really important. After the hanging has occurred, all the footage is going to be sent back to the studio, and we're going to process it, and we'll be able to look at it.
Exactly. All the photographs are linked directly back to the truck so they can analyse it straight away.
Thank you, Kieran. Now also we've got members of our studio audience. They've joined us as well. They've come from a cold theatre into a very, very cold, spooky wood. And just imagine the last time that people would stand in this particular spot and watch a hanging. It would have been hundreds of years ago. You're going to be here, you are going to witness this, and hopefully at the same time we're going to be in contact with some of the spirits that, you know, might interfere. Chris, what's your take on this as well? Are you already aware of spirit here?
Yeah, it's sort of got tickled.
You're all right. Well, that's not a good thing. You're okay? I'll leave you there. Also, let's just concentrate on who actually is going to be hanged. It's not something you say every day. But Carl Beattie is actually going to be hanged. And we're going to be asking him after this has occurred what feelings he went through. Did he experience anything? Or maybe just beforehand, was he touched in any way, and so on. So it's a very, very big experiment, and hopefully we'll get some results from it. Now, we have a Ouija board here, a Ouija board with a difference. Around the edge of the Ouija board are all the faces of evil that we have contacted. This is the last face of evil here. I don't know who it is. This is something that Brian's picked up on. He doesn't look particularly very nice. We also have the doctor that we met earlier on. We have the gentleman from the antique store. We have the gentleman from the Mariners. I think he's from the judge's lodgings. We have the witches, and we have Stan from the theatre, and I'm not quite sure who this person is here. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. But anyway, they're all here. What we're going to do is we're going to put our fingers on the glass, and we're going to ask who is present. And we're going to do that now. So can we ask all the audience members, please, to just keep completely still while we call out and see if we can get the glass to move. Is there anybody here with us now? If you're here, please can you move the glass? Move the glass, please. Let us know that you are here. Move the glass. Let us know that you're here. Can you take the glass to the picture of yourself? Take the glass to the picture of yourself. If you can see yourself, take the glass to the picture of yourself. Okay, I don't know who you are. Do you want this person standing on the gallows? Do you want him to hang tonight? Very slow, isn't it? No, I didn't hear anything. Yeah, it's a whine. Is it? Is it going no or yes? No. It's not, look at that, it's a steady pace.
It's quite freaky though, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes. So I don't know who he is. Are you picking up on anything, Chris? Do you know who he is?
Not this gym, but I picked up when we come out. There is a man here.
Yeah.
And this man has actually been hung here.
Oh, he's been hung here.
I've got his second name. His second name is Burke.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
That's the one I picked up.
So you've got someone that's been hanged, and Brian has got that. Look, I don't
Actual
know who it is, but he could have been hanged, or he could be the hangman. I'm
I
not
assume
quite
it's
sure.
the hangman that Brian's picked up.
All right. So we have a yes from this gentleman. We need to find out who else he is. Who is he? I'm quite nervous about this. But join us back after the break. It's back to you, Paul, in the studio. Join us when we're actually going to hang a member of our team.
Thank you, Yvette. A very chilling start. I should reinforce, folks, that nobody will be hurt in the course of tonight's experiment. The Singapore experiment, Kieran called it, to try and summon up the emotions and maybe the spiritual manifestations present at any kind of extreme physical danger. But nobody will be hurt tonight. And everything you see has been checked, double-checked, and checked again for health and safety. Brian, it was mentioned that that image you conjured up may be the hangman. You said maybe the executioner.
Sure.
Do you still think that? Because often you get other input, you get other sensory input, and you sometimes change your mind. You still think that's the executioner?
I do at times, and I can see that there are other spirits present there right now. Yes, people have been hanged there, of course they have. I sense that on the day that I went there, I sense it now. But I still think that it's the perpetrator, it is the actual image of the hangman self.
Now, might these other presences, without trying to lead you in any direction, might they be his victims, his supporters, his enemies? Who might they be?
No, I think they are. I think they're direct victims of that act of hanging itself, and they're still there, very much rooted to that space. And I'm just going to say this right now, rather than lean over later. I really fear this experiment happening. I know you've said that it's going to be quite safe and all the rest of it, and I want a warning issued now to that team on site, that be very careful. Something can go wrong here very easily. I felt very, very troubled on the day I went there. I felt I was being led into something, and I knew on that day that in a way there was going to be tampering with something we shouldn't tamper with. I want that scent there now.
Okay, we accept what you're saying, and I'm not doubting your intuitions on this.
Sure.
I should reiterate those so people at home can rest assured this has been thoroughly checked, and we are informed by all the experts. Carl is in no physical danger on that one. Very quickly, Phil, can I just ask you about the importance of the presence of audience members there? Is it important in this kind of experiment, we had it here in the seance, that we get other energies involved?
Certainly, and also from a kind of independent point of view of it as well, for people to look at and judge for themselves what's actually happening. But the more energies, if you like, and if you believe in that theory, the better the chances of creating some kind of activity.
Thank you for the moment, gentlemen. Now, as we gear up for the, this mock execution, this mock hanging involving Carl again, he is under no direct physical danger. He will be fine. It's an experiment. It is not in an attempt to reconstruct a hanging. I also want to catch up with John Callow and Fred Batt about some of the history that lurks behind this. John, if I can go to you first of all, have we got any idea in this country how long hanging has been part of the judicial system? How long have people been condemned to death by hanging?
Well, hanging is instrumental in the way that justice is wrought throughout English history, in effect, from Saxon times onwards. It's a very public method of putting a criminal to death, of exacting justice. And of course, gallows, just like as happened at Lancaster, were often situated at crossroads, so travellers passing across the country would have a pretty grisly reminder of what happened to those who dared to break the law.
So those bodies might be left there, exposed to the elements, also as some kind of warning to passers-by.
Exactly, and in the most gruesome cases, cases of treason, as in the case of the judges of King Charles I, their heads were left up there, were boiled and left up for years, for decades, to give a very stark warning to passers-by.
Now, of course, we know there's a lot of almost propaganda against witches involved in some of the things we know, but I have heard, Fred, and as a demonologist, of course, I bow to your greater knowledge, I've heard that sometimes bits from the bodies of people who were hanged were sought after by black magicians or by witches. They might want to use body parts. Is that just a myth, or would there be any truth to that? Were these bits of people's bodies ever used in ceremonies?
I would think so, yeah, definitely. I mean, there was one other method where they would put someone on a ladder and hang them, and then they would hang, draw and quarter them. They would take out parts of their intestines and actually cut their penis off and everything else while they were still alive. And the last thing on the person's mind that was being hung would be the bits going onto the fire from their body. They would actually see that before they died. Very, very bad thing.
It's almost as if we're talking about something happening in a different universe, but this was really only, what, 300 years ago?